Hi, welcome to Losing Faith, Finding Spirit. We're talking about red flags in relationships, what to look for, how to avoid the narcissistic, toxic, abusive people in this world, and how to get out of those relationships. So, continuing our red flag series, I have possessiveness. Possessiveness and intensity. I'm adding intensity to this one because not every relationship has all of these red flags. But if you find more than one in your relationship, you need to consider ending the relationship. Possessiveness is, do you notice that your person, your significant other, this toxic person in your life, or the person that you're dating, they are romantic. They're wonderful. They're doing all these amazing things. We're soulmates. You notice the intensity. Have you noticed that maybe they're a little bit possessive? Like maybe they won't let you go places that you used to go or hang around friends that you used to hang around with, maybe even your family. They start kind of ridiculing the people that you care about. Maybe they say, like, oh, that person's so rude all of the time. Do you notice how they talk so rude to you? Did you notice how they talk so rude to me? You're so much better than that. We're better than that. We don't need to spend time with that person. Pay attention to how often this person is intruding into your other areas of your life. I want you to know right now, you don't have to share everything. You don't have to share everything with your significant other, even your spouse. You don't have to share everything with them. Your partner, whatever, even your parents. Like, honestly, there's no one in this world that you have to share everything with. You don't have to. You can keep some things to yourself. You can keep some things, just some friendships just for you. And that's healthy. That's good. We should have that. That makes us feel independent. It makes us feel, whole, a whole person. If you start noticing that you're falling into patterns where you feel like you have to be with this significant other all the time, and you can't, you feel uncomfortable if you don't see them, if you don't spend time with them. Maybe you're getting jealous. They're able to spend time with all these people, but anytime you want to go out with your friends, suddenly they're wanting to spend time with you, or they suddenly surprise, I've got this plan for you. What do you mean? And you're like, I've been planning this event with my friends for months. You've known. Why are you suddenly showing up at my door? No, you're not invited. Be aware of that. Be aware of those patterns. Be aware of it in yourself, especially people who have any kind of trauma in your childhood, any kind of people who might be substance abusers in your childhood, a parent who might have been a substance abuser. My father was an alcoholic, because those kinds of patterns create what is known as codependency. And codependency is where you are kind of tangled up in a person. You feel like you can't function alone, and you need these other people in order to function. I used to not be able to go to the store, get groceries. I wanted my ex-husband to come with me to get groceries because I felt uncomfortable. And I felt discomfort whenever he wasn't around. And I felt worried, is he going to cheat? And is he going to do all this stuff? And now I realize, if you start feeling worried about somebody and you feel like you got to keep tabs on them, then it's not healthy. That's not trust. And you need to just end it. You need to spend some time alone, get to know yourself better, undo your own, work through your own issues and your own codependency. So those are things to be aware of with the possessiveness. And it's easy to fall into codependent patterns with conflicts and with these kinds of personalities that are abusive and narcissistic and toxic, because that's the trauma bond. The trauma bonding kind of makes you feel codependent. You get stuck in these cycles of abuse and then praise and adoration, and then abuse, and then love bombing and breadcrumbing, and then abuse. And then before you know it, that you're stuck, you're dependent on those cycles. In my other video, I talked about how trauma bonding literally is like an addiction in your brain because it's causing all these chemical reactions in your body. You get the highs and the lows, and then you feel dependent on that. So that's part of why codependency is so hard. It's part of why these kinds of relationships are really hard to end and get out of. You feel discomfort in your body. You might feel possessive of the person. They might try to isolate you and sort of keep you away from other things, whether that's like making you leave your job for whatever reason. They try to make you smaller and dependent on them. And it's a slow process. So you need to be really mindful of what is happening in your relationship and aware of these flags. And if you see them, if you start to see this pattern, you need to end the relationship or plan on how to end it. And you need to rely on people separate from your significant other. You need to have a separate identity. And I don't mean like be two different people, like we talked about with being wearing a mask and chameleons. What I mean is that you need to be yourself, a whole person, all on your own, where this isn't something that you rely on. This relationship isn't something that you need. It's something that enhances. It's something that makes you feel fuller. It's not something that fulfills you. We're not looking for the other half of our whole. We need to be whole all by ourselves. And then when you're whole all by yourself, this kind of person isn't gonna make you fall for them, because you're confident in yourself. You're whole all by yourself. And if you're aware of the love bombing and the intensity phases, you're definitely not going to fall for it, because you're going to notice that something's off. Or you're going to put the brakes on and say, we need to slow this relationship down. It's too much for me. And they're either going to react negatively or they're going to be a healthy person and slow it down and meet you where you are. So be aware of possessiveness and intensity, and not only just within the other person, but really if you do start noticing that this person is trying to isolate you and is inserting themselves into every area of your life, you need to be aware of that. That can be dangerous. And if they seem like they're jealous of like anybody who talks to you, and like they get physical or violent or threatening, that high conflict with those other people, you really need to pay attention to that. If somebody starts to get violent over nothing, they could get violent at you. And I'm just not trying to scare you. Not trying to scare you, but I'm just trying to make you aware, because we know in these relationships, things can go from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat. And that's why we have such a hard time in these. But I hope that helps. Thank you for listening. Bye.